What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode of Moonshot Monday. Thanks for sticking with us while we were traveling. We had an epic time visiting China. Special shout out to the Cuz for hosting us. It was an incredible experience. My personal perception of the country did a 180. I felt like I really had no idea what China was before, and being on the ground for 2 weeks gave me an entirely new appreciation for how important China is going to be in the global economy. I can't wait to share with you guys some clips from our trip. What up, Hyperchange? We're here at the Great Wall of China. It's no secret that China is becoming a bigger and bigger player on the global stage with GDP growth of nearly 7% for years running. They have a population of 1.2 billion. Tesla entered the region a couple years ago and has seen tremendous success here. They did over $1 billion in revenue in China last year, almost 15% of the company's overall sales. We think this is just going to become a bigger and bigger piece of the story, so we're on the ground, we're checking it out, and we're going to see what's really good with Tesla in China. So even though China is already the world's largest auto market and electric vehicle market, we are still in the very early stages of this growth. It's likely China's middle class could triple in size over the next decade, giving them an even bigger lead in what is already the world's largest opportunity for these car makers. Much like Apple and a bunch of other luxury US consumer good brands, Tesla has seen resounding success in its early entrance into China. The company is building stores, service centers all across the country. They originally entered in 2014. In 2016, they did over $1 billion in sales from China. Out of $7 billion in total revenue, that's about 15% of Tesla's sales. In Q1, it was up to 25% of the company's overall sales. So China is quickly becoming a bigger and bigger piece of Tesla's thesis. Now, just because China experienced incredible growth doesn't mean they didn't have problems of their own. On the back of this incredible GDP growth and expansion of the middle class, there's been huge problems with pollution in the country. This has spurred the government to launch incentives for electric vehicles, and we think is going to be a big reason for the government to push even more legislation to advance the adoption of electric vehicles in the country. And ironically, while we were in the trip in Shanghai, news came out that Tesla is rumored to be working with a local company in Shanghai to establish a manufacturing presence in the region. This is a huge deal because up until now, Tesla's been paying a 25% import tariff on all its vehicles, making its vehicles starting at $105,000 versus the $70,000 that the Model S starts with in the US. So if you think about that, the traction that Tesla's already seen in China, even with the import tax, makes it even more impressive. We were actually in Hong Kong as a part of our trip as well, and what was fascinating about there is they had a piece of legislation in that was giving a huge, almost 50% tax credit to electric vehicles, and we saw more Teslas than we've ever seen anywhere in our lives. California, Norway, Seattle, New York City, they have nothing on Hong Kong. The bottom line is legislation and these tax breaks can have a huge impact on demand for the vehicle. When you combine that with the fact that the Model 3 is about to come out at a much lower price point, is going to spur and accelerate demand even further. Tencent, one of China's largest technology companies, took a 5% stake in Tesla early this year. We think that is going to have huge future implications for Elon Musk's stated plan to build a gigafactory in the region. It's well known that it's very difficult to get into China. You usually have to set up a joint venture and work with somebody. So the fact that Tesla's backers with a significant piece in the company is Tencent, one of China's largest companies, is going to be a huge asset when they try and set up a manufacturing presence in the region. To put things in perspective, Shanghai has 6 Tesla stores. There's only 2 in New York City, and Tesla is very early in establishing its presence in China. So we were in Shanghai, and then we traveled a couple hours outside of the city to Suzhou. What did we find on our way randomly? A Tesla supercharger. A couple hours outside of Shanghai, starting to get into rural China, we're already seeing Tesla superchargers and infrastructure being built. It's no secret that BYD, a Chinese battery manufacturer turned electric vehicle maker funded by Warren Buffett, is seeing huge success in the region, and we think is going to be one of Tesla's potentially biggest competitors in the electric vehicle market in China. So we think that's really important to note. But on the flip side, the success of BYD has not only educated Chinese consumers about the benefits of electric vehicles, gotten them used to the technology, but it's also been a catalyst to build out a bunch of charging infrastructure in the country. We view this as actually a huge positive for Tesla because a lot of the education about electric vehicles is already done for them. Additionally, BYD and Tesla are competing on totally different price points. BYD is selling cheap, affordable cars with much less performance and much less range than Tesla is. Tesla is coming in as the luxury brand. They're looked at just like Apple is in the country. They're high-end, they're a status symbol. People want to be associated with Tesla. It's cool.
We're at the IAPM Mall here in Shanghai, right in front of the Apple store. And although China represents a mega opportunity for luxury US consumer goods brands like Apple and like Tesla, it doesn't come without risks. For instance, here in China we've noticed there's ads everywhere for carbon copies of the iPhone. Interestingly enough, if you look at Apple's sales, their sales in Greater China have declined for 2 years straight, despite a booming population, booming middle class, and booming GDP growth. We think this is all due to competition. So I think it's very interesting to note that if Tesla does come here and they're successful at first, there's likely to be a lot of companies that try and replicate what they're doing, and it's really important that they don't overexpand. We've seen Apple stores everywhere here, and frankly, they're not that crowded. There's almost as many employees as there are customers. Really not as impressed with like the level of hype and demand that you see in US Apple stores. And I think that's directly a victim of them expanding too fast into the market and a ton of competitors coming in with very similar products. And I think it's interesting to note that Tesla's cars are probably a lot harder to replicate than Apple's phones, but still very interesting to see a brand with such exclusivity, power, and just like tech as Apple already be commoditized away in such a short time here in China.
While we're in Beijing, we stumbled in a Huawei store. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Have you seen the Huawei store? It's just like an Apple store. Really?
They're basically a smartphone maker based in China. Their store was almost exact replica of the Apple store. Same tables laid out with all the phones. They even had smart watches that looked just like the Apple Watch that were like advertising in its own little section. In the back, they had a sort of Genius Bar thing where you could get your products fixed. Like, it's fascinating to note that these companies were not only copying the products and trying to beat them, but literally to a T copying the retail strategy and just all on business model of what Apple was doing. And that's something I would keep an eye out, and is probably the biggest risk for Tesla in China, is a Chinese company just replicating exactly what they're doing and trying to pitch consumers as being that local player. All right, Hyperchange, that wraps it up for this week's Moonshot Monday. We wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody who's subscribed recently and all the comments we've gotten. We read it all. We appreciate all of the love. Thank you guys so much. And also, no matter what you're into, it doesn't matter. China's gonna become important. Get there, check it out, and learn about it. And don't sleep on the biggest economic giant of the next decade. Peace.
Guys, this is what Hyperchange does. We're on the ground for you guys. Kevin's on the middle of the street right now. We're in front of this Tesla supercharger, and the middle is like pretty much nowhere. A couple hours outside of like Suzhou, like. We gotta get it big.